Alright, so this is a Vayne game where you go 10, 9, and 8. And you said you're not going to carry it. Nice level 1 invade. Your support plays flash. Fun, fun.
Minions have spawned.
Sorry if I cough, I'm kind of sick. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay. Kaisa is texting. I don't know, man. So right there, you walked forward, missed a CS, and Malphite just walked away. I don't know why you walked so far forward. There's no reason to. This ward is fine, but you're not gonna catch him. His Q slows you, and it steals movement speed, right? Yeah, it steals 20% of the target's move speed. So that was just a missed CS for no reason. You missed that CS too. You know, I mean, okay. So you could have postured up a little farther, but it's not terrible. You missed a cannon for that. That's not worth. Auto the minion. I mean, right now, if you look at your CS, as long as Kaisa doesn't in here, she'll be ahead of you in CS when she catches this wave. So while you've built an HP lead, you haven't really built much else. And realistically, you could have a pretty big CS lead right now. So okay, you can play it. You should leave. So this is just wasted time, really. The reason it's wasted time is because you already know Kaisa took it back, so Kaisa's gonna come back with full health. Obviously Malphite's not full health, but neither are you guys. Sona's low mana, you're half health, Kaisa's gonna be full, and Malphite, I mean, yeah, he's Malphite, but full health versus not full health. You guys probably won't win the fight. And, you know, if Pantheon was gonna gank you, you probably would have already been ganked. Because realistically, you have to assume he started bot side and then he went to top side. He died somewhere along these. I mean, I wasn't really watching the other parts of the map, but you know he died. And so if he died, that means his top side or bot side's not cleared. But you'd be. You're not really under gank threat, so to speak. Unless they just full commit on you. Like they have to flash on you. I mean, I don't know. This lane's just, it's shit to set up. It's Malphite, Kaisa. They don't have CC. Like, you just wasted a lot of time, that's all. Just like I wasted a lot of time there talking about it. Don't really care about mid. slow pushing this wave. If you slow push this in the tower and then back, that'll be okay. This back, if Sona backs there, that's fucking awful. Okay, your jungler shows. You really can't back because you're gonna lose a wave if you do. You guys see the Pantheon, so kill him. Oh boy, that's an answer. Alright, so I mean, it probably goes without saying, but you had 2 stacks on him. He was very obviously going to use his E to block the damage. Realistically, you should just wait for it to come out and then either tumble or flash to the opposite side so you do your damage and you kill him. Because you don't die here if you just get your 3rd auto off and it actually does damage. But it doesn't, so you end up dying. Not really the greatest. I think it's going to work out because I guess your Rek'Sai is probably going to clean up here. I would imagine. Yeah, Malphite kind of ends. Kai'Sa kind of ends too. They just should have backed off, but didn't. So it works out. But you don't have to die there if you just play a little slower. So we go back to farming. So far, this isn't really too eventful. Just a good trade on Kai'Sa. Nice punish. Clear the ward. Persona gets flashed on. Dies. But you're gonna kill Kai'Sa. It's very interesting. Okay. That was troll. That was really troll. That's all I can really say about that. Echo cleans up. You guys get dragon. Cool. Pantheon goes in. Alright, so man, you really messed that one up. So you see the Jace, you see him right there. You see the Pantheon ult start. So when you see the Pantheon ult, number one, you need to not get hit by that. Because that took 150 HP that you didn't have to lose. Number two, right now you have your Condemn. You should be like insta-casting this shit just to try to get him off your Rek'Sai. But you don't end up doing that. Pantheon flashes and then the Sona ults. But like the thing with Pantheon ult is you know where he's gonna land, so you can just spam your Condemn on it until he comes in. And if you did that, there's a good chance that you would have condemned him, and he would have had to flash for Rek'Sai instead of flashing on you. Which obviously that makes the rest of this play a lot easier. But yeah, then you flash away from him, which is fine. But if you're going to flash out, just commit to going out. I mean, you see Pantheon turns around, Jace full health, you walk back in, you get hit with the Shock Blast and die. And Sona dies too. Sona was going to die there no matter what. You probably weren't going to die if you just turned and ran once Pantheon turned and ran. But if you just spam condemn when he comes in, that whole play might go a little differently. So I'm... What the fuck? Kaisa texting while driving once again. Okay, so you freeze the wave. That's fine. It's actually gonna end up like slow pushing, but that's still fine. Really not a big deal. I wouldn't speed it up though. I don't know why you like hit those 3 minions or something. Like you autoed this minion twice and then autoed this minion. There's no real reason to do that. Because you'd rather just build up the slow push. Obviously you're going to go all in right here. I don't know if you're going to kill her. Probably doesn't look like you are, but maybe. It's still a good all in. Force your flash for free. Oh, Sona kills her, okay. Yikes. What in the world? Huh. That was something. So let's see, reset here, I hope. Okay. So you probably... No, you didn't have enough for pink wards, that's fine.
Turret plating will soon fall.
I would say you probably should have gone for a pickaxe pink ward instead of the recurve bow, but that's just me. I like pickaxe more than I like recurve bow. Okay, that's fine. You walked over a ward, didn't clear it. Don't really want to be doing that, but it's not really a big deal right now. So at this point in the game, they really don't have an AD carry, but you have an interesting problem, and it's that you don't really have anywhere to be per se. But the best thing for you to do right now is to go top and get the top outer. Now I know you're gonna end up going bot lane, but ideally you really don't want to be bot. If you can, you know, talk to your team or whatever and get Mordekaiser to go bot lane, then that's gonna be much better for you. Because right now you're not accomplishing anything. You're farming and that's okay. But like if I'm you, I'm recalling and running top. That's my play. Because you need to open up the game. And this is the last thing that's really stopping you from opening up the game a little bit. But that's not... Yeah, okay. We're going top. Mordekaiser goes mid. Interesting. Not sure I agree, but... Okay. So that's fine. You get 2 towers, great. This is really... Okay. Not really sure that's worth it. That was a good command. Obviously, didn't stop Malphite from eating your ass, but... take those. That sucks. So you have your Rage Blade. I'm guessing you're going PD or something like that next. It's fine. Oh my goodness gracious, what is that? That's not how you play Echo. Okay, so the Cloud Drake comes up soon. That's fine. Play around that. Collect the Scuttle Crab. Get the Drake. Next thing on the map is the Baron. So really you should be walking with these two. You really don't need to be here. You're not really doing anything. I guess you're dissuading them from killing your Inter, but the reality is he's inting. But yeah, so you're late to this fight, which isn't always a bad thing as an AD carry, but you didn't really have to be late. And you end up dying. That's gross. But if we go back 30 seconds, we can see that right here, these two people go over here. As an AD carry, if your support does some shit, you kinda have to follow. It's not exactly the most free roll in the game. But the other thing is, unless you guys are keeping track of summoners, which I don't know if the client's bugged or what, but if you don't know for sure that Malphite, Jace, Pantheon, and Ryze all don't have flash, then you being isolated from the people that can peel you, which are Sona and Rek'Sai, is a bad decision to begin with. But in this case, you just end up wasting time. So you see them start moving in. I don't really know what you're trying to do walking this way. Because there's nothing here. I mean, there's no dragon, there's no objective. There's a wave, but the only person that can really pick that up is Echo, if he wants to. So right here, you're just kind of in no man's land. You can't really contribute if something breaks out here. You can't save Echo if something breaks out over there. Only thing that can really happen is you get found and picked. So yeah, your team goes in, you go a little too deep, you lose half your health, and then you get Malphite ult to die. So that was kind of a unnecessary death. And it just stems from being in the wrong place. Okay, so you probably catch this Jace. Yeah, that's fine. Rise dies. So now you guys. Oh, what the hell, Panther? So I wouldn't chase? Okay, yeah, just go to Baron, take the Baron, no problem. Cool. Okay. You buy a Phantom Dancer. It's fine. So Kai'Sa's just running it down mid.
Your team's turret has been destroyed.
Alright. So while you're farming Krugs, the rest of your team is up here, and you're over here. This is not the place to be. If you're gonna farm Krugs, that's fine. I don't really mind you farming Krugs here, I think that's okay. What I don't think is okay is you just disappearing. Because instead of going up here, you should just go back to pushing bot. You're Vayne, like, you know where one member is, you know where their Kai'Sa is. So at the worst, your top lane fight's gonna be a 3v4 because your Echo's going back to kill the Kai'Sa. So if it's a 3v4 top, that means no one stops you bot. If they send one bot and they don't send the Jace, they realistically can't stop you. Malphite can't one-shot you through a Phantom Dancer because he's a support. Pantheon might be able to stop you, but he really doesn't have a build that's going to one-shot you or kill you, and he sucks at wave clear. So it's going to be pretty hard. You're probably going to be able to push him off, and that's going to be fine. If they send Rise, then their top side is just going to lose the fight. Because these three people do not actually fight that well together. They do a lot of burst damage, but they don't have an actual fight. Like, past the initial burst, there's absolutely nothing. So as long as your Sona doesn't get, popped, and even if she does get popped, as long as she gets her ult off, Rek'Sai is just going to kill them anyway. Mordekaiser can ult somebody, he still does damage. But what ends up happening here is you farm the Krugs, and then you try to rotate over to your team, but you end up leaving your team in a very bad situation, because now their best case scenario is to fight a 3v4 and you're not doing anything. If you push bot here, so they have to send somebody, and if they don't and they choose to fight this, you're going to get a bot inhib tower, which is fine. That's a fine trade. But yeah, that's not what happens. Your top lane dies, you get away with mid, whatever. That's less than ideal. So yeah, you get targeted by Malphite, no surprise there. Team goes way too deep. What in the world? Do anything to stop that. Okay, that was really bad. That one's not really on because she wants to push. I mean, I guess you were late, but only thing I can say to that is to ping and tell them to not do that. That was pretty trouble what happened.
Red team triple kill.
So you spawn, go back down. I don't like this very much. I think Wit's End is pretty bad here. If you want to itemize anything, you want to buy a stopwatch. If you buy a stopwatch and a chain vest, that's probably the best buy here. Because realistically, your threats are Malphite, Jace, Pantheon. If Ryze kills you, that's kind of a yikes. It wouldn't be a yikes because Ryze has damage, but it's a yikes because he managed to get on top of you as Vayne, and that probably means the team fight wasn't going very well. So you're gonna kill this Malphite right now. Kill the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa's not really doing anything, so. And you don't end up getting the win. So you can't commit to that. That's really just not the play. I mean, you guys see everybody there because your Rek'Sai dies. So why this Sona walks up is a little beyond me. That's pretty stupid. But you can't commit on this guy.
Because who's accounting for this guy? I mean, if you go on this Pantheon right now, you're just asking to die. I mean, it's what happens, obviously, but there's no one to stop this Rise from just deleting you. And obviously, the Jace is there too. I mean, you saw the shot class, so you could have guessed that, but... that was pretty bad. Echo runs it. It's no good. So right now, if I'm you, and you have this Wits End, you need a stopwatch. You need it so bad.
Blue team has slain the dragon.
I mean, the stopwatch here could actually probably win. Flash is up in his corner, so you probably like to avoid fighting until you can help it, but it's a good pick on the Rise. You have your Flash up there. Your Mordekaiser Rance. There's the classic. Okay. That was really cheesy, but... ooh, what in the world's going on? So I'll tell you this, if you were paying attention, this is really weird. You shouldn't actually be able to see these people yet. But if you were paying attention to, let me show you, if I can, that's echo. Did not mean to click echo. But right here you can see it. You see Rek'Sai's tremor sense go off? That means somebody moved in the bush. It's a very subtle thing, but you can definitely see it. Especially if you're looking at this Jace. I mean, if you're looking at the Jace, it's pretty apparent. It's this red little circle that's going off. And that should tell you right there that there's somebody in that bush. You know Ryze is dead. You know Kai'Sa's dead. So that means the only two people that can be in there are the people that can kill you. So right here, this is a case of you have to be really aware of what's going on in a late game fight. Especially when you're trying to make a pick. But as you can see, you guys weren't quite aware of what was going to happen. And you get absolutely murdered by this motherfucker. Jace actually ends up living. And yeah, I imagine that's how you lose the game. But to put this entire game into perspective, there were a couple of moments where you could have changed this game. And there were a couple moments where it really didn't matter. This death over here to Malphite is probably the biggest one. Because at this point in the game, you guys had a lot of momentum going for you. And there were lots of reasons why you would win the game. But when you look at your team, Echo, you, and Sona were the only three that were doing really well. Your top side was not really doing that great. Obviously, Jace and Pantheon picked up most of the kills, but Echo was still in the game. He was relevant. He was playing well. With that in mind, if you die, your damage goes down to Echo. And while Echo is great at bursting out one person, who's he gonna burst on this team? Jace? No, Jace will burst him. Jace is strong as shit. Ryze has a Seraphs and a Zhonya's. That's a tall order. Kai'Sa's not worth bursting at all. Malphite literally just wants to press R and press all his buttons on you. And he's not bursting the Pantheon. That's a joke. So Echo's big, but he's not really useful. So that means you're the only carry. So you have to play like the only carry. And that means playing safe. That means going front to back. And that means making sure you know where Malphite is. Because realistically, he's one of the only threats on that team. You're not going to be threatened by this Jace. He does enough damage to kill you, so does Ryze. Ryze and Jace will do the damage to kill you. But they're not really threats by themselves. They don't really have good gap closers, a way to get on you, so it's like, whatever. But if you don't know where Pantheon and Malphite are, you're kind of going to get fucked up. This dragon fight right here, this one was pretty bad. You never want to burn your flash and still die. Especially when you're playing something like a Vayne or a Kog'Maw or a Jinx. Because if you do that, I mean, fuck. How do you get out of the next engage? You just die again. But then there's certain times where it really didn't matter. Like this death right over here, this one that just happened. Had you noticed this, you might have been able to make a play. If you had seen this tremor and flashed the ult, this is probably very different. But that's not really something that's like a decision. That's just something you have to notice and care for. There's one play. One of these deaths, I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's one of the earlier ones. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. This play, while it doesn't effectively hurt you, this ends up shaping the game in a different way than it probably should have. Because right here, you dying, it kind of stunts your snowball. Actually, it more than kind of stunts your snowball. It really stunts your snowball. Because if you kill that Pantheon and don't die here, in all likelihood, you're going to end up with at least 1 kill and 2 assists, maybe more than that. And then you're going to get to push the wave in, and then you're going to get a plate. So that's going to be about 600, 700 extra gold in your pocket. And that's a really big chunk in the early game. This death just didn't have to happen. I mean, if you had just waited for the Pantheon to E, would have never happened. So, that one was kind of silly. Wasn't really the one I was looking for, but
That's the one you get picked by Malphite. No, this is the one you get. What is this one? Is this the one I want? This is kind of silly too, obviously. I mean, you guys just die. It's whatever. That's just an overcommit. The part where you wasted a lot of time down here at Krugs though, and then didn't do anything towards the bot lane, that was bad. Also, the part where you go bot instead of just going top and knocking down this tower as fast as you can, that led to this point, that wasn't very good either. There was just no reason to go bot. I mean, a lot of this game actually, if you notice you're late to a lot of fights, it's because you were doing something else first. Let me see if I can find it. It was one of the later fights, but you were doing red buff, and then you ended up arriving late. Was it this fight? I guess it had to have been. But yeah, so here you spawn in, you run straight to red, but why? Why would you run straight to red here? Like, look at the death timers. If you're running it down mid here, you can get 1, maybe 2 inhibs. But instead you take the red buff. So this is really bad. And I guess this is probably the turning point that I'm looking for. Because right here, you guys have kind of lost control of the game. But it's not really over, per se. You just want to fight. But you don't actually get anything good off this. And it's 99.9% to do with the fact that you went for this red buff here instead of just running it down. So, overall, I'd say a lot of this game is based on the fact that your rotations were late. You ended up spending a lot more time in the jungle than you probably should. And you didn't really track Malphite very well either. Even though he's the only real CC threat on that team. So you put all those things together and you end up with a loss to an ADC who goes 1-12. And the reality is, I mean, she played horribly. But when you think about it, she also took 2 mid towers and, you know, caused attention to be drawn to her. While you really didn't. You didn't make the other team put any extra effort into killing you. Malphite always wanted to target you. So every death to him is just a bad death. And that's really about it, I think. I mean, I'd say this red buff, instead of going for the inhibs here, is probably the defining moment. Because if you guys take 2 inhibs, I mean, I guarantee you'll end up getting this Baron. And then if you get the Baron, you probably do win this game. But that's really about all I have for this one. I mean, on a mechanical level, you didn't play it badly. But the Krugs, the top lane being late, the red buff, the dragon fight here where you're not condemning Pantheon off Rek'Sai, so Rek'Sai, you know, can maybe live. And at the best case, Pantheon flashes on Rek'Sai and you end up killing Pantheon. This death to Pantheon here that really didn't have to happen, but it did, because you didn't play it slow enough.
the death to Malphite here because you took half your health going for an auto that didn't mean anything. There were tons of mistakes this game that you got punished for. But in this game in particular, they're going to stand out because you're the only one that could actually carry this game damage-wise. So it was definitely on you, and you definitely could have carried this game. But you have to be smarter with what you're doing. You have to think, what's the ideal play? And go for that instead of the greedy play. And you have to realize what the situation is. Because in this game, everybody wants to kill you. Nobody really cares about the rest of your team. So knowing that, why would you ever be in the front or somewhere where Malphite can easily access you? It just doesn't make sense. So, I think that's it. I hope I said something useful. If you need clarification, feel free to ask, but that'll be it for this VOD review.